We are live now.
I'd like to nominate Pam Toby to be one of the chairs.
Sorry, do I have to do the preamble first, Jamie?
Yes, we should do the preamble to let
Oh, do
folks
that first?
who are
Okay, well,
listening know how to participate. Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Cool. So this meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or a device, there is a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications to be recognized to speak.
first order of business nominations. I nominate Pam Toby as one of the co-chairs.
Second.
And I nominate Matt Lundberg as my co-chair.
I'll second that. Any other nominations? Jamie, I would say that you could call the vote. Call the roll call on the two nominations.
Okay, I will do them separately. So
That's
the
fine.
first one I will do. Hi, Jennifer Lee.
Hi, sorry to be late.
It's
You
okay.
missed out, man. You almost got nominated to be co-chair. You better be careful.
No. Please.
It's okay. It's okay.
Who is nominated? Did I miss?
We were just about to vote. So there have been two nominations for chair and co-chair. So I'm about to call roll for the nomination for Pamela Toby to be the chair for the Community Preservation Committee. Is everyone ready?
My connection's no good.
Okay. Pamela Toby,
Yes.
Jennifer Lee,
Yes.
Hank,
Yes?
Heidi,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Thank you. And on the second matter on the floor for co-chair Matt Lundberg, I will be doing the roll. Pam,
Yes.
Jennifer Lee,
Yes.
Hank,
Yes?
Heidi,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Thank you. So now I think that officially means Pam gets to run the meeting.
Okay.
I think that's true.
So the first thing on the agenda is, sorry, now I got to open it. It is Actions Inc.'s off-cycle application. Did everyone have an opportunity to read that? Does anyone have any questions, or do we want to review it? How do we? It was for 100,000 for emergency rental assistance. It will assist 30 households for rental and mortgage subsidies. So does anyone have any questions, or?
We have some reserve there, Jamie. Don't we have some reserve for housing because we haven't made any grants for a while?
I believe so. I will pull up the budget now. I think that's the one document I didn't have already open.
Well, I
Jamie.
would just like to say that I was really happy to vote the earlier grant for this last year. I think we had one round of funding, and I was really happy to support Action and our community in a immediate way that people in our community could feel the benefits right away. So I'm happy that they asked us another time. I'm sad there's still a need, but I feel like this is helping people now. So I'm happy to support this application.
Thank you. So I'm looking at the housing reserve budget. and there was 260,000 before the vote for the YMCA went through, which was, I believe it was a $200,000 award. And the Action Inc., the last round of TBRA assistance was 100,000. So there isn't much that will be left in the community housing reserve, but there is about 1.1 million in the overall budget reserve, the fund balance. So
Should we go ahead and call the vote, or is there any question about it?
No, I just
So was
personally, I feel
that-
this, yeah, I'm all in
Okay.
favor of this. I agree with Heidi. I mean, this is people in need and it's what the fund's supposed to be used for. So full speed ahead.
I would fully agree with that as well. I'm not quite sure how this works here, but my 2 cents would absolutely be that, to me, this is such a need, and how wonderful that Gloucester has the opportunity to be able to help out in this way. And I would be 100% for that.
Yeah. So does anyone want to make a motion?
Does the mayor have her hand up?
I'm,
And the mayor's not.
Yes, well,
mayor can-
action's there if they, because there are other people also as attendees. I believe action's on if they want to explain. It's a good program. You're right, Heidi. Unfortunately, we have to continue. COVID didn't go away and a lot of things didn't go away and there aren't the jobs that we assumed. And so I'm in for this, but action's there if they want to give a little brief summary of what they want to do so other people can hear, that'd be great.
It looks like Jen Beloff wants to talk.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
And I believe Allison may have raised her hand as well, but I know most of you had the opportunity to read through the proposal. And we have years of experience doing the tenant-based rental assistance program. Now in all areas of Cape Ann, we were able to secure funding to help people in Ipswich, Manchester, Rockport, and Gloucester. We are continuing to see this need. It's unfortunate, but obviously the pandemic has lasted longer and people have remained unemployed. So the need continues. We have been able to help a great deal of individuals and families combining this TBRA program with some other action unrestricted funds if people needed a longer extension to help get restabilized. So all I can just say is, this program has been very successful in helping members of Gloucester remain housed and not have to enter like the family shelter system, which, is they could end up anywhere in the state. So this has been, very, we've been very fortunate that you've allowed us to be able to utilize these funds. Thank you.
And this is Allison Lex. I will just add that we were completely shocked with how quickly we went through this last round of funding from all of you. We had really hoped that it would last the full year we had put in our initial proposal, but we obviously, as you would expect, had no idea what the need really was. And, the need just continues. And we, over the past month and a half since the beginning of January, have seen a big influx of new requests from people in Gloucester. So we'll really be able to get these funds out the door to help those people immediately. And we're just so grateful that you all made the commitment to help us get these funds out to people last year, and that there's this opportunity to ask for more funds to keep this program going, because it's a huge help to the people that we're seeing.
Also online.
Yeah, thank you. So does anyone have any questions, or are we anything? Okay, does anyone want to make a motion?
I do.
Go.
Coming from the housing community, I would like to move that we fund the action request for $100,000 to be put toward
I'll second.
supplementing and
we have a motion and a second? Do we want to do roll?
Of course. Pamela,
Yes.
Jennifer Lee,
Yes.
Hank,
Yes,
Heidi,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen and Allison. So on to the next item, the Hammond Castle off-cycle application. Did everyone have a chance to review that one? Okay. Did anyone have any questions or comments about that one? Oh, the mayor raised her hand.
Well, thank you. Linda is also here from the Hammond Castle. The Hammond Castle is part of our history. And due to the COVID and a lot of different changes and a lot of different aspects, you know, it hasn't been open. You can't go to museums until the late. And they've done so much for the community. They continue, especially working with the children, educating the children. It needs our help. I usually don't come on these and tell everyone how to do it, what to do. But you know what? Unfortunately with COVID, this is just so extraordinary how these people are coming together and needing our help. And we're so thankful whoever decided to do the CPA in Gloucester. What a wonderful program. We're so lucky to have it. So many things, like you said, $1 million preservation that, you know, things need to be restored and rebuilt. And this is one of the things that needs our help. It is a museum. Someone might think, well, it's private, but the fact is it's public. It is ours. And they do so much and they do so much on their own, and they help so many children when it comes to the holidays or different adventures that the children need. But unfortunately, you know, fundraising and actually opening the museum was difficult, as you know, this year. Thank you. And Linda is on here and she can explain more if she likes.
It looks like Linda would like to speak.
Linda, there you go.
Thanks very much. I wanted to thank you all actually for the grant that you had given us for the original proposal on this replacement of the clear story. The castle was built between 1929 and 26 and became a museum in 1975 after Hammond's death. And it was put into an incorporation at that time and is run by a board of trustees. Over the years, we've tried to keep the building in good repair, but now it's time to do a little bit of restructuring and preservation. The Clear Story project began and we had been partially funded by the CPA, thankfully, and the project was continuing on schedule when we ran into some problems of some deterioration that was discovered during the initial opening of walls, which was totally unexpected. And the cost of this deterioration well exceeded the allowances that we had given in our budget structure in order to cover the cost of doing this. We've had to continue with the construction and replacement of this deterioration in order to complete the project because it was so dependent upon it in a structural way. I have Patrick Guthrie here this evening, who is the architect. He's on Design Associates, from Design Associates. And if there are any technical questions that you'd like to ask or present to him, he is here in our viewing tonight as well. And I just want to say that your help in covering half of this amount that has been added to our budget, I believe our request is for $38,128. The match of this, we have applied to the Mass Historical Commission, and we've had great support from Senator Bruce Tarr, from Brad Hill, and Ann Margaret. And so we are very excited to be able to complete this on time, to be able to open the museum again for a very successful 2021 season. We have lots of activities, lots of community outreach planned, and we love being able to bring people from all over the world, as well as the country, to see the museum. Just a small statistic to add that in 2019, we had over 35,000 visitors to the museum, bringing all of those people into this area and being supportive of our community. And one of my pet projects is to extend our reach out into the community to serve our children and to offer opportunities for them and educational programs that they are more than welcome to have advantage of at any time. We have some exciting things coming. So if you have any questions for me or for Patrick, we're happy to be here to help.
I have a question. It's a general, not a worry, but a concern. So if we found this expected situation this time, what I'm concerned about finding another, I'm totally in favor. I just feel it's a responsible question to ask. What are we doing to make sure that we're not going to another unforeseen circumstance? Clear?
I'm happy to answer that. I think perhaps Patrick can, being involved in this program from the very beginning, being our coordinator, and has constant communication with the team that's working there. Enclosed in my application was a letter from Patrick that he addressed to me on January the 15th, explaining what the exposure showed, and I think he can address this question better than I can. Patrick, would you mind?
Sure. Can everybody hear me? Yep. Great. So absolutely a great concern, Jennifer. If you have not been to the castle, we're working in the courtyard. So basically we have erected, as you saw in my letter, staging, which is now 19 feet above the floor, which has gotten us right to the base of the skylight. And that has allowed us to expose basically the final structural elements that are related to the skylight. So Hammond Castle is a big place and there's other things to work on. But for the skylight project, we have basically now exposed the finality of the parts that need to be worked on for this element of work. So barring meteor strike or something else that comes in and creates a circumstance that we can't anticipate from an outside source, we have been able now to define the limits of the physical scope of the work. And it's a two-part repair. We are working on 100 lineal feet of curbing, and then we're creating the shelter, which, timely enough, you have experienced the same snow everyone else has and weather. The idea is to be able to get up and accelerate the repairs, because this has been a significant setback in timing for getting us back to opening up this courtyard and returning it to a revenue flow for the museum and just for a place for people to come and visit. Because right now, of course, it has a lot of pipe staging in it supporting things. But it's a great question, Jennifer. Thanks.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
This is Matt. I have one, which is, and it's probably here, and I've just missed it. Yeah, April 1, 2021. So you're planning to be done with it by April 1st?
Well, as in all circumstances, yes, that's our goal.
That's the plan.
Right. And again, part of the cost of this is creating the structure so that we can work through the inclement weather we have been having to compress what had been a schedule which had been taking into account some winter weather. Yeah, so that's what we're aiming for. We understand that the world is not perfect, but that's our pin in the calendar. That's what we're aiming for.
Perfect, thanks.
We also, if I could add, Matt, to that, we've also requested from this committee an extension through May on our original funding, and that was approved by your committee.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, any comments?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment, which would just be in complete favor of Hammond Castle. I do think it's one of the jewels of Gloucester, and I think if we're able to help them move forward in preserving what they have there, that I would certainly be all in favor of that. I was just recently reading a story, an article on the Bash Boys and Hammond being one of them, and you know the four of them, which was Buswell, Pyatt, and Sleeper McGann and himself. They sounded like quite a crew, and they really started a Gloucester history for us that I hope we can preserve their honor for many years to come.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second, any second?
I'll second it.
Do we have to, do we have to expand the motion? Do we have to say what it is, or are we good?
My preference would be to at least have the dollar amount that's being motioned.
Okay, so the dollar amount is 38,128. So Bob, do you want to add that?
Was it 31,000?
38,128.
Oh, $38,128 for the Hammond Museum Clear Story project.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Is everyone ready for the roll call vote? All right. Pam,
Yes.
Jennifer Lee,
Yes.
Hank,
Yes,
Heidi,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Linda and Patrick, I just want to say thanks for the application was great, especially the pictures. I mean, you could tell once you opened that up, it was kind of a mess. So thank you for being so complete on the application.
You're very welcome, and thank you again. We appreciate your support.
Okay, and now on to the Young Legends Street Hockey Extension request. So did everyone get a chance to read? They have two applications out for funding, both for $125,000, one to the Bruins and one to New Balance. Does anyone have any thoughts or comments on that? I have one. I was curious. I can't remember. In the beginning when they first applied, did they mention who they were applying to fund the rest of the funding from? Does anyone remember that? Like where the gap was coming?
I think they did.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember.
I think I remember the Bruins. I don't know about New Balance. I don't remember both. I'm sorry, my internet is not working right, and I'm going out.
I think they had also been banking quite a bit on their ability to do some private fundraising.
I mean, I think it's a great program and it's exciting and creative. So I think that is awesome. I think the fundraising piece makes sense that it was a little difficult with coronavirus and the changing times. So I definitely understand that piece. Does anyone else have any thoughts?
I'll just add as the Open Space and Recreation Committee member that having recreation applications is always really exciting. And I think this is a good project to fund, and also not unlike, I mean, I know it's slightly different with the other two applications we spoke of tonight, but the fact that we're in this pandemic does have effects, and that an extension seems like a reasonable request. And I think when we look in terms of the extension of the Avis Murray courts, tennis courts, Stage Fort Park, like it's just another freshening up of another jewel in our city, which is the Stage Fort Park area. So I think it's an exciting project, and I'm all for project and the extension. So.
Is there anyone from Young
Is-
Legends in the
Well-
attending? I don't think so.
I don't see anyone in the attendance.
So do we want to make, is there any other discussion? Do we want to make a motion or?
I will make a motion to, and there, an extension. So I move to grant the extension as requested by Young Legends for their application, not application, for their grant for the work as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, are we ready for a vote?
Yep.
Awesome. Pam,
Yes.
Jennifer Lee,
Yes.
Hank,
Yes,
Heidi,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes,
Matt,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just whipping through them tonight. And then the last thing, well, not the next thing, is 2021 round 12 application forms. So did everyone get a chance to do the Neighborly login and take a look at the test application and eligibility form?
Yeah. I think it seems really easy. I didn't have any trouble with the software or the logging in, and it seems really, really easy. And I hope it makes your life easier, Jamie.
Thank you. That is hopefully one of the effects.
Jamie, if folks have a problem with it, I thought it was fine, but if somebody has a problem trying to get an application in, I couldn't remember if there was a link there or something to say who to contact for tech support on how to fill it out.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Typically, it refers people to the default grants email contact. That way, it's kind of anyone on my team who's available would be able to pick up that email and address it. There is, when you log in, if people have issues with their login or any of that information, there is a link for Neighborly support. Fortunately, that's not something that we have to handle in-house, which I'm grateful for, because you know the security capacity and the access to that kind of data is not something I want to be dealing with. But I will make a note to double check and make sure that it's clear if they have questions about who there. It's certainly on the city's website, but I'll make sure that it's somewhere on the overview page at the very beginning, who to contact if they have questions.
It may be there. I just couldn't remember, and so I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, thank you.
So round 12, when is there a general calendar of when outreach happens, when applications are due by and all that?
Yes, so eligibility forms, I mean, that's the one date that's sticking out to me right now. Those are due on March 12th, right? I think we decided that at the last meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
And I don't remember off the top of my head, I don't remember the next ones.
So the application submission date is also tied to the eligibility form. So applications have to be received no sooner than 45 days after eligibility forms. It's a weird little piece in the ordinance. So right now on the city's website, the application due date is May 7th, which would be prior to the May meeting. It's after the 45-day window and prior to the May meeting.
Got it.
And the link to access Neighborly will go live this Friday on the city's website. So people who have reached out, I've let them know, like, check back at the city's website. It'll be there starting Friday, so that they'll have, you know, almost a month to complete the eligibility form. There isn't, Matt, I don't have a timeline for publicity. That's something we usually kind of talk about doing. I know Heidi had sent a draft to me about advertising for open space and recreation projects. So that's something we've kind of addressed each year, and tasked certain members who have like strengths or networks that, you know, would facilitate advertising.
Great, thanks.
Would we have, like, I feel like in the past, maybe not COVID times, we would have an information night at the friend room at the library or some such thing, but do we want to have something like that? Or maybe Matt, I know I haven't met you formally, so I'm excited that you're here. Welcome. And, but do you think that we could have a virtual information night for people that wanted to ask questions to people? Do you think that's a good idea, or will that work on Zoom, or what are people's thoughts about that? Like, just to say, I don't know, instead of meeting at the library, meeting from the comfort of our homes.
Hosting a public hearing and getting public input is part of the CPA ordinance.
Okay.
So we will have to hold kind of a virtual open house.
Okay.
I think historically that's been tied with presentations, you know, so applicants for this round will come and present, and we'll invite the public to ask questions about those applications or give input about what they think the CPA's goals and priorities should be for the following year. I'm happy if we wanted to host training or information nights for potential applicants. I'm more than willing to schedule some of those. I know we transitioned this software also for our block grant funding, and we hosted multiple trainings and webinars to help people walk through the new system, because it is new and it is different. And so in getting that out there, I own that there is a bit of extra training and information that we might need to disseminate. But I kind of will leave that up, you know, to you all. If you want to do an advertising night, or, you know, do something to garner interest, or pre-public hearing, do something, then let me know.
But that's optional. That's sort of like, we do that just to greater inform our public, which is different than the public night of where people show off their project. Like, those are two different things.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to do that.
I think we need to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think we need to do something that, I think that there's still too many people that this exists and would be a possibility for them. And if there's any way to do something pre the eligibility deadline, I would let a shot. Could you hear me? My internet is really a mess.
Yeah, for the most part. I think you just broke up like once or twice. It wasn't bad, no.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think that's a good idea. I support that. I'd like to just have an opportunity for new applicants to ask questions, or potential new applicants to ask questions before things maybe are starting to get due or be due. So I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I've already had several people ask me if it's appropriate for them to apply with different ideas, different applications. And I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm still very new at this. So I think that's a very good idea to be doing that.
Yeah, I think it'd be great if we could do something online, because we can't get together. But also, if there's any, I think more important, or as important, is how do we get people to come? And you know, it's outreach to open space and historical interested parties. Many of those people already know, but if we can get the word out, if we can schedule something, then get the word out and say, hey, you know, new round of funding is coming up. We've got some new procedures in place. Hop on and let us tell you about it and answer any questions. But some outreach to interested parties would be great.
We might want to use Good Morning Gloucester, which I
I was
think
just
is
going to say that, yeah.
well regarded, and of course the local paper, and maybe public. I just don't know whether there are programs on the the public access TV that might be appropriate where it could be announced there as well, on the cable.
So I was going to recommend that we go on, again, if this is appropriate for such a city group, I don't know if it is or not, but my idea would be that one of us, or a couple of us, would go on to, and it would be, I would think the two chairs would go on to Good Morning Gloucester's Sunday morning podcast and just get the word out there. I mean, I think that's a great way to get exposure here in Gloucester. And then also on 1623, Corey Kukuru and Heather Atwood do their Cape Band today. And I think that would be great to have Pam and Matt go on there, and they would basically interview you, and you could tell exactly what we have here, who's able to apply for what purposes, and just get the word out there, because I do think that not many people know about this. And I think that a little PR campaign would do as well here.
Agreed.
And I'm willing to help and reach out. I do that for a couple of different organizations in town. I did that for my job for many years at the chamber, and I'm happy to help out in that way as I can.
Right. Well, why don't we-
Even Corey's bridge would be appropriate for this.
So he's a member. I mean, he's a member-driven thing, and he'd probably do it. But I think if we did it on 1623, he would automatically put that on the bridge, and that would be helpful. But I do think if we can kind of make Matt and Pam the face of this organization for the next year, and just get the word out there that, there is money to be had. And, that brings up a question that I've had that a few people have asked me, and that is with regards to the Gloucester 400, and whether or not it would be appropriate for the 400 organization to be applying here, and then for different organizations that are hoping to do something for the 400, if they can apply. And again, I'm too green here. I don't know the answer to that. So I just feel like there's a lot of questions out there in the community that we could get some information out there for. And actually, if anybody has an answer to that right now, I'd appreciate it, because
my answer might be a little dated, because I did work on CPC in Acton when I lived there a while ago, but it was a while ago, and the brain cells don't work quite like they used to. But the guidelines are pretty clear, right? And with respect to the 400th, I mean, that does fall under historic. It's not typically a historic preservation. So I think we should encourage it, but I think we'd have to just make sure it falls within the guidelines of the statute, and then we're good.
And we've also, in our application, it says, how does what you're doing tie into the 400th anniversary of Gloucester? So there's an acknowledgement that, oh, well, we're beautifying the boulevard for all the events that will be happening there. Or we, when people do a historic tour of all the neighborhoods, this will be highlighted, or this is one of the showcases. So that's part of it, meaning part of a current application. But yeah, I feel like the guidelines are really clear, and like how people can answer some of those questions. And also there's the fact that there's an eligibility period. So that's a short application. People, I mean, it's almost like apply, like just do that, and we'll decide if you're eligible. And then if not, then rework the grant and try again. Or, I feel like there's a lot of support along the way for people who want to apply. And also there's many steps along the way too. So it's not like you have to have a completed grant or a completed grant application by March 12th. You just have to do an eligibility form. So I think that for friends that ask you, Carrie, or people that ask you, direct them to the website and see if that helps them, because there's a lot of good information.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a process question. So if we want to get organized about a public outreach to get people involved and reach out to 1623 and Good Morning Gloucester, what are there guidelines around what we can communicate with each other offline and emails between meetings? I'm a little rusty on, because it would be great to have a punch list of things to do and who's going to do them. But I can't recall what we have to do publicly in this meeting versus through emails. Anybody know?
So my understanding is that coordinating those kinds of efforts, there wouldn't be an issue with open meeting law. It's, us discussing advertising or reviewing letters to the editor or things like that wouldn't be an issue. Anything that should be on an agenda, so talking about projects aside, people can send me one-off emails with questions, and that doesn't violate open meeting law. But if everybody is on an email and there's conversation happening about applications or award recommendations or anything like that, that would violate the open meeting law. But the kind of the business about how do we advertise, how do we get more public is not, I think, going to violate open meeting law.
Right. So I think then what we were talking about is I think we're all interested in setting up an online meeting where we can review the process, the opportunity for applicants, and how to get started. And before that, to get some outreach through 1623 Good Morning Gloucester and other ways to get that done. But after we close up tonight, we should just parlay through email to say who does what and get it going. Does that sound right? Great. Oh, hey, Jamie,
Great.
I'm sorry. I have one other question from earlier in the call. During the Action Incorporated conversation, you had pulled up the CPC budget. Is that a document that's online, like in a read only, that we can look at, or is that just something that you have access to?
It's something I typically share when we get closer to making award recommendations or things like that. I'll usually reach out to the city auditor, make sure that my numbers look right, and see if there is anything else I might be missing. I'm happy to send that around. I can work on getting it updated. They just recently voted free cash, which is why the last round of CPC applications are now moving forward. So I can get that updated and send that around for sure.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna circle back via email to get the next steps on all that, right? That was what we decided. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. So does anyone else have anything about the applications for the next round or anything else?
I do. So I want to make sure I'm happy to screen share and walk folks through anything, especially my permissions. I'm one of the administrators in Neighborly, so I can show pretty much anything if there are any questions. I'm really a big picture person, so I always kind of want to see all the workings. So if anybody wanted to set up a call, I'm happy to do that. I am working on a scoring rubric. We don't necessarily need that until the applications are in, so I wasn't pushing that so much as the eligibility form that I'll share with everyone. I'm looking forward to being able to, have everyone's comments, questions, suggestions all in one place and centralized. I think that's really going to be helpful, especially if we kind of keep having multiple extensions and various off cycles and the regular cycle all kind of flying at me. I think that will be really helpful. I'm really excited about rolling Neighborly out. I want to say it has worked very well so far for our block grant funding. It enabled us this summer to roll out a brand new module for small businesses and get people's applications in for COVID assistance. So, I've been working with it for about 1.5 years now. I can go in and make any changes if people, want questions reworded or think a format would look better. I have the ability to go in and make those changes. So feel free to let me know. Yeah, and I also wanted to add that there is a Budget and Finance Committee meeting on the 18th, so this Thursday. They're just going to be voting. So they met with the applicants at the last Budget and Finance, but put off voting until this meeting. So they will be voting. The applicants don't have to be in attendance, but I will be on vacation. So it would be really great if somebody from the committee could at least be in attendance. I think, Pam, you had already said you should be able to make that one. I don't
Yeah.
anticipate that they'll have questions. I think it's just good to make sure someone's there and just in case.
Yeah.
And then the public hearing, so that's the presentations in front of the full city council, are scheduled for March 9th. So I'll be working on like a slide deck like I did last year. I think it'll make more sense, even more sense this year, to have one person sharing a screen or, you know, sending a presentation, because it'll likely be virtual still at that point. So I've asked the applicants to send me, if they have extra information or photos or anything that they want included in that presentation, I've asked them to send it to me. So those are kind of the two things that are coming up.
Hey, Jamie, I was just making sure that my Neighborly login worked again. So I might have missed what you just said, but so when, what the next thing is coming up in terms of applications, when is the next deadline for applicants? And what's it for? Project eligibility?
So the eligibility is due March 19th. This
Great, thank you.
so this Thursday, the last year's applicants, their approvals, you know, everybody's timelines have been off, so their approvals are much later than would typically happen. So the Budget and Finance Subcommittee will be voting on the funding recommendations for last year's on this Thursday, and then the public hearing for those funding recommendations will be March 9th.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. There's a lot of dates, I know.
Jamie, my machine was breaking up. Could you tell me when is the committee voting?
So the Budget and Finance Committee is voting this Thursday. The City Council public hearing will be March 9th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
And is someone going to the Budget and Finance?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, good. Okay. Are you going to the council also?
I can. Anyone else is welcome to join me.
Pas moi.
So I see someone has their hand raised, Jamie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Marianne, I have given you the permission to speak if you just want to unmute.
Hi, thank you. I was waiting for oral communications. I've been on since the beginning and I didn't see where, I know you said oral communications, but you jumped right into your agenda. So I'd like to know when that time will be available. Can I speak now, or if I could just have the permission to speak?
Is that okay, Jamie?
Yeah, that's totally up to you. You can open the floor to the public if you would like.
Thank you so much. My name is Marianne Albert Boucher. I live in East Gloucester. I've been paying attention to almost every board, commission, committee there is in this past year, year and a half. I'm trying to familiarize myself. I'm considering giving back to my community. So I want to learn about all aspects of our city and our government. And I'm trying to understand, maybe you can help me answer this. What role does your commission have beyond granting the CPA grants? I heard the words tonight, like preserve their honor for years to come. Another woman said another jewel in response to recreation, open space, green space. And I've watched how $190,000 in CPA grants was literally basically washed away this past year with a vote to take away open green space at Meadows Field. I've been very involved with the school project, paying attention to it. I'm just trying to pay attention to everything. And I'd just like to know, because I've attended every meeting that I possibly can attend. And I don't hear anyone from any of these boards and commissions and meetings voice any opinions. And I don't know what your role is, or if you can, but I just think that it's critical and it's very important to have representation from your boards and committees. at these meetings? And if you are, I can't see it because we, on this end, as an attendee, we don't get to see all of the panelists unless the panelists are ready to speak. So that makes it very difficult to know if there is somebody from one of your boards in attendance at any or all of these meetings. So my question is to you is, what role do you play beyond granting these CPA grants? And once you do grant, you know, something of that great amount, do you follow it to seek the protection of it, or what? I'm just trying to understand it all. So thank you very much.
I would like to start a little. I would say that 4 or 5 of us, it works the other way around, Marianne, that we do not go on to other boards. We are from other boards on the CPC. So I am from the Housing Authority, and there's someone from the Historic Commission, and there's someone from Preservation. And I mean, somebody else should say the particulars. So is that clear on that part of your question?
It is, and I do understand that because I've seen you on other boards and committees and commissions. But I'm just wondering, the people that participate on those other boards or committees who might have a role in being able to speak in regards to the preservation of certain pieces of land and open space where large amounts of CPA grants have been granted. Is there a role that any of you play that would help to protect and preserve those pieces of spaces that you've granted such large amounts of money for? I guess that's my question.
Somebody want to talk about the playground, the lights? We were appalled when this happened.
Thank you.
And we have put some language into where the process, I don't remember all the details. We've instigated a process whereby there have to be guarantees that any funding is secure and that they can turn around and undo something that and if they do, they have to give us back the money.
I see. So what happens with—
Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it's one project, yes, but I just like to know in general how that works, because I'm noticing by attending all of these meetings for, like I said, the last almost 2 years probably, that I'm noticing that things, they trickle down, but they don't get followed up with. And I just think that, you know, we keep hearing we all need to work together. Gloucester's about working together. Yet all these boards and commissions are very much separated and don't come together when the time is needed in other roles, I guess. I don't know if I'm confusing you, but it just seems like open space commission, where, you know, preserving some land. I haven't seen anybody from open space, and I know we've had COVID, but these meetings have continued and have gone on regardless. This project for the school has gone on regardless of COVID. And I would think that anybody from any one of these boards and commissions would be able to speak up in reference to it at a public hearing. I don't know what your role is and how that role is played out when these types of meetings do come up. So I think if we're all working together, and I'm just trying to learn, I really want to learn about all of this as to how it works. Like I said, I'm very interested. So thank you.
Well, if I may, I would just like to say thanks for showing such interest in these issues and showing up. I think that's a big part of, you know, civic engagement. And I would also direct you to the city website and the Community Preservation Committee what the role is, what the goal is. And there's a really, really great piece that I could just read to you that says, and this is right from the CPA application info packet, that the mission of the Community Preservation Committee is to study the needs of the city of Gloucester in cooperation with various city boards, departments, organizations, and citizens, and to solicit and evaluate proposals for the use of Community Preservation Act funds for the maximum benefit to the city of Gloucester. The CPC will recommend to the City Council those projects which it deems will best achieve the purpose of the Community Preservation Act legislation in the areas of open space, historic preservation, affordable housing, and recreation. And it goes on. And so I guess what I hear you saying is concern about Mados Field, about the funding that's happened and then was taken away for the school. And I'm not sure at what you're looking for. When you say, I just want information, I would say this is a good place to start. And also look at the website and see what it says there. Look at the Community Preservation Act. We voted for it as citizens of Gloucester. So this is not something that's been happening for a long time, but all the blue signs around town, they're going up a lot. And when you see them, we know that the citizens of Gloucester, you see it on your real estate tax, community preservation, and it's 1%. So it's a small, some people are not for it, but to me, it's about the greater good. And that's not always popular with everybody. Not everybody's going to use the tennis courts, but it's in line, and the application, when the reason it was approved, just to use that as an example of open space or recreation rather, is that there were matching funds, there was support from the community, letters, etc., and then proposals to have it funded and have the work done, so budgeted. There's a lot of really good resources here, and the people are the best resources, but I would just guide you, Marianne, if I may call you that, to the website, the City of Gloucester website.
I've read it extensively over and over. So I guess it's what it comes down to for me is it would be nice to see representation from other board, and I'm not necessarily talking about your particular board, but from boards at some of these meetings that we have been trying to have our boards and commissions speak in represent the people, and that's all. I'm getting confused at this point. So, but thank you very much.
One of the things that we've been very careful about is that whoever makes the application is not going to fade away and disappear. This situation with Mados Field was highly unusual. It was not something we were happy with, that we put money into something that, that we thought was more permanent, because we're very, very concerned about the fact that if we put money into things, that whoever the money goes to and whatever it's used for doesn't disappear. There has to be someone that and long-term plans are part of the application process, not just a matter of one-time shots. It's a matter that we like to see that there are programs that are continuing that this is part of.
Thank you. I was not a part of the Mados Field CPA grant at all. I came into it long after the fact, but I just, it's disappointing to see that so much was granted and the work was done with such good intentions. And then suddenly it was as if all the boards and commissions have fallen off the face of the earth when it came time to speak up at public hearings and such. So I guess I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I know Mr. Whitmarsh, I see him over there, this head nodding up and down. I know that he did speak with Patty Amaral in regards to it. And Patty was at the forefront of all of that funding. And it's a great disappointment when you work so hard for so long and raise so much money and you have such support from your committee and not to see anyone come forward from that and say, wait a minute, we put a lot of thought and effort into this application and it's maybe this is something we should all talk about. So I thank you for your time. I've taken up enough, but I just wanted to put that out there. I just think it's really critical, really important from my end as an attendee who really wants to familiarize myself with everything that goes on in the city. I really have a genuine interest in it. I'm a Gloucester native, born and raised here, and I love Gloucester, and I just want to do my part as all of you have, and I appreciate everything that all of you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Marianne. All right. And I see that there's some other people with their hands raised. So Jamie, do we want to let someone else speak for
Sure.
3 minutes?
Yep. I just want to make sure. So it's not like city council. You guys don't have to necessarily have an oral communication time where you open the floor to public comment. It's entirely at the discretion of the committee members. So I'm happy to promote people to speak, and you all seem to be engaging quite lovely tonight. And we got through most of our agenda pretty quickly, but it is entirely up to the members of the board. So I'm happy to, at your discretion.
Is there a limit? Is it a 3 minute limit? Is that?
That's kind of the general rule.
If it's all about Beto's Field, or in the school issue, I think if that's the same kind of topic that everyone wants to talk about, that's
I think putting it.
We really shouldn't get stuck on repeating the same thing over and over again. Because if all these people are here for the same purpose, we can understand and appreciate that. But to hear the same thing over and over again is not particularly constructive.
Yeah. So how do we handle this? How do we want to handle that, Jamie?
Find out what they want to talk about.
Okay. Do we want to let someone else speak and see kind of what they're looking to talk about?
Yeah. See what it is they want to talk about.
Okay.
Sure, I will. So Denise, if you want to unmute, you should be able to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, Denise Piscucci. Actually, I'm a graduate with Matt Lumberg. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, Denise, how are you?
Good. How you doing? And thank you for your time on this committee.
You bet, thanks.
I too was part of Mato's Field thing, but I'm not going to talk about that. The thing that I think is important, that I know how much time and effort Patty put into applications, and I think what we have all been asking each other is that getting that amount of money, is there any protection that money will be protected? Should there be some kind of stipulation when a city is working together? Are we doing it? I don't know what's going. Want to try again?
I don't know where the echo is coming from.
Oh, I don't need. Okay, so the question I have is that when you're giving money, this type of money, and especially for a city project, shouldn't there be some type of stipulation or agreement from the city that what's happened to the Mato's Field funds will not happen? So, I mean, $190,000 was wasted in a 3-year period. Is that something that you can put?
Are you talking about a single project now?
No, I'm actually talking about the future. When you're
No,
giving,
no, you're saying 100, you guys said $190,000 was wasted. Is that because of this single project, this Mattisfield project?
well, yeah.
Well, look, I mean, we were not happy about that,
No, I
but we couldn't
understand,
do anything
sir.
about it. And we did speak out on it.
So
I think it's
I mean,
unfair to say that
understandably-
we don't speak out on those things.
So
No, I'm
we're
just
still making efforts to not
future.
allow that to happen again in the future.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking.
Language into contracts and stuff like that. So we are learning, and that is something that we're thinking about and working
It's
to
gonna
not
be
allow to happen in the future.
Right. I hope that, again, that money that's given out is obviously nothing's going to happen to it. There's some kind of stipulation. That's all. It's a lot of money and it could be used for something else. As you know, you're giving money for home people. And I think that's awesome too. I just want to say is that protecting that money, that's all I'm asking for the future.
Yes,
That's it.
you completely
Yeah.
agree. Yes.
You don't want to see it wasted. It's a lot of money that we pay in our taxes. So that's all I want to say. And again, I'm just referencing a situation that money was given and it didn't last long. That's all. Don't want it wasted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Highly
Thank
unusual situation, highly unusual. I don't
I
think we've ever had that happen before on any project that we've given money for. It was
Yeah.
just highly unusual, and it's just
Oh,
not
I
something that,
Totally understand.
is
I just hope that
normal.
safety net that could be put into those applications that people that accept the money can say, you know, this is in good faith and it will last like you thought for a long time.
that's it there. It's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Thank you though.
Thank you so much.
Denise.
All right. Do we want to just take the last hand raise and then as long as if it's about
As long as it's on some other topic.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
other than this one.
okay.
Pamela, you should be able to speak if you want to unmute your microphone.
Hi, my name is Pam Steele. I live at 10 Pilots Hill in Gloucester. I am on tonight, and I've never been on this particular site, to try to understand my city government, because 2 years ago, I was involved in a project in my neighborhood, and I started to learn about city government. And this was the one area that I'm weak on, so I came on tonight to try to see, you know, how everything ties into what happened to me and how I could be more proactive within the city to try to keep it nice like it is and not have this disjointedness that appears to me to be happening in the city, where one hand doesn't know what the other one's doing and a decision gets made. And I'm just trying to learn. So I just wanted to introduce myself and say that there are a lot more people interested in what's going on, but it's kind of difficult to have the time and energy and know which board and to go on. So this is one of my last boards, and it's nice to meet you all. And I was a staunch advocate for CPA. I was devastated the first time it didn't pass, but I'm kind of getting, you know, a little nervous right now with the tax rate and everything. And I just hope that we can keep it, because it is a wonderful thing. And I love history. I love the castle. I love everything about Gloucester, but we have to work together and fight to save it. It's going quickly. So I'm trying to do my part. It's a giant task. I'm 74. I'd rather not, but I found I had to. So good work, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Didn't we institute some new language and start with parameters on how to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again? With the playing field?
We're requiring now, right? That's the case, Jamie?
Yes, as part of this contracting round, there was some clawback language that Barbara and Catherine were working on putting into the contracts.
Okay. Does anyone have any last comments, or we can move on to the next meeting date and wrap up?
Yes.
Okay, so the next meeting is on March 16th. Do we need a motion to adjourn? Is that
Yes, you got it.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
And it is seconded.
Well, we don't have to do a roll call vote for this one.
All right.
Well, welcome, Matt and Carrie. I hope you guys had a good first meeting.
Thanks. And Pam, I'd just like to say you did a stellar job running the meeting.
I tried. Thanks, guys.
Here.
Really?
You'll get your chance, Matt, down the
I
road.
know.
somewhere.
All you next time, Matt. You got the next one. All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.